SaaS business? Visit the SaaS Innovation Hub website. Here you will find everything you need to succeed in SaaS with the latest Microsoft technologies. Check out the free migration offers, explore partner events, and browse the knowledge base. And the best, schedule a free consultation call with one of the selected experts in fields ranging from AI to cloud architecture, infrastructure migration, and SaaS business.
Hello, hi. Let me share my screen with the presentation. Hope that everything works perfectly. Um, so let's go. Hello, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining today's sessions about the best practices for cloud migration. In this webinar, we will together explore the key strategies for successfully moving workloads to the cloud. And we will strictly focus on the Microsoft Cloud Adoption Framework. So whether you're just on the beginning of your cloud journey or looking to optimize on existing migrations, in today's sessions, I will provide insights to achieve smooth, secure, and efficient transitions to the cloud. Plan for today's presentations is pretty straightforward. First, I will briefly introduce myself and the company. Then I would like to talk why cloud migration fails, because the reality is not all migrations are successful, and we need to say it loud. The main focus will be to walk through the entire migration process, breaking down what's involved at each stage and what tools can help to ensure the success. And at the end, we will sum it up with a quick summary of the key points. And of course, I set aside the time at the end for any questions you may have. Okay, so moving on, I am Mateusz Kaczmarek, and I am Cloud Team Leader at summ-it. And my role is focused on designing, implementing, and monitoring the cloud infrastructure for our customers, making sure that everything runs securely and efficiently. I'm a certified engineer with expertise in infrastructure, databases, security, and more. And I'm also keeping an eye on the latest best practices to make sure we stay ahead of any potential challenges. Okay, moving on. summ-it is a company that is on the market for more than 10 years. We are mainly focused on providing professional data services to companies around the world. Evidence of this professionalism include 4 advanced specializations in the areas such as infrastructure and migrations, business intelligence, and application deployment in Azure. We are also currently working on obtaining the highest one, which is Microsoft Expert Managed Services Provider. We developed our own tool called Biz Insights, which is designed for distributed businesses that allows users to see and analyze all their business location from Google Maps. Data about each location is collected and presented in one dashboard, and using AI technology enables effective monitoring and management of different locations and data-driven decision making, which helps to increase the number of customers. And with the help of the cognitive services and natural language processing, the system analyzes not only um, helps us with average rating, but especially with written reviews, resulting the rapid adaptation of business customer needs. Yeah. Also, we are saying about ourselves that we are the one-stop partner in the data world. And this is due to the fact that our company is based on 3 pillars, or I should rather say teams. The largest managed service, which also my cloud team is a part of, takes care of keeping client system working continuously without any breaks. We take care about, for example, physical server rooms, maintaining databases like Microsoft SQL Server or Oracle. And the second software and development team deals with the creation of customized solutions. Very often, there is a situation when we have ready products on the market which we can purchase, but they are not always meet our technical or business requirement, and this is the perfect moment for our development team, and they goes into the action. The last one, but not least, is our data team, responsible for everything related to data like processing, analysis, and visualization, because data is everything from my perspective, only when it's present expected information value. And this whole 3 teams makes the perfect solution, for your business, in short. Okay, that was the short introduction about our company. So let's move to the topic. While cloud migrations offer amazing potential for scalability, flexibility, and cost savings, it definitely comes with challenges. Lots of organizations dive into processes with high hopes, but very often they hit unexpected or expected roadblocks that can lead to failure. And to avoid these common pitfalls and make sure that the transition goes smoothly, it's important to understand why migration often fail. So below on the screen, you can see some of the most common reasons, and starting of lack of planning, which is probably one of the biggest reasons for failure. Without a clear plan that outlines timelines, resources, and key milestones, it's easy for organizations to lose sight for their goals, which leads to delays and higher costs. Second one will be the wrong migration approach. So choosing the wrong strategy can cause lots of issue. Whether it's a lift and shift method that doesn't focus on infrastructure optimization, or refactoring that drains resources, picking the wrong approach can result in poor performance and increased costs. Integrations. So it's critical also to think at the beginning how your existing systems will integrate with your new cloud services. So without a solid integration plan, you may end up with disconnected information as slow operations, which can undermine the benefits moving to the cloud. No testing. So skipping testing is another common mistake when we very often, which is very often cutted. So if workloads and processes aren't properly tested in the new environment, we might not catch issues until the migration happen, and this leads us to the service disruption and another time for extra costs. Vendor selecting at the beginning, also choosing the wrong cloud vendor or migration partner can really derail the entire process of the migration. So at the beginning, you need to make sure that your vendor understands your specific needs and has the right experience and support to help you succeed. And the last one, the governance. So the lack of governance, when governance is weak, it can lead to security gaps and compliance issues. It's essential to establish clear policies for managing resources, security, and user access to keep control over the cloud environment after migration. Yeah. So to avoid such failures during the migration, so we have to define the strategy. So cloud migration is not simply a one-time event, because it is a multi-stage process that requires careful management of activities before, during, and after transition to the cloud. To facilitate this process, Microsoft developed the Cloud Adoption Framework, which provides a structured approach to adopt this cloud and make migration smoother. The CAF consists 6 stages. Each is designed to guide organization through planning, migrating, and optimizing cloud environments. These stages ensure that cloud adoption aligned with the business objectives, mitigates risks, and delivers sustainable value over the time. So let's go into the first phase, which is strategy. So starting from the beginning, the strategy phase is really where the cloud adoption starts. The focus here is on making sure that our cloud efforts align with the organization business goals. This phase is about making sure that cloud adoption is driven by clear and measurable outcomes directly from our strategic objectives. And during this stage, we are defining our business drivers. So why we are moving to cloud? We need to identify the main reasons why we are moving to the cloud and answer the specific question like, is it to reduce the cost, improve agility, scale quickly, or drive innovation? These drivers will shape everything we do in adoption process. And I will talk a little bit more about migration triggers in a minute. The second step in this part will be to establish business outcomes. So what we want to achieve by adopting the cloud. This should be consecrate goals, like, I don't know, increasing revenue, improving customer satisfaction, or reducing time to market. Third thing will be to prioritize workloads. So we need to figure it out which applications or workloads are most critical to move first. This will depend on our business priorities, technical readiness, and the potential impact of each move. Yeah. At the last stage, I will say that we need also to set the key metrics for success, so KPIs. This could be the thing like cost savings, improved performance, faster deployment times, and increased efficiency, which is also very important when migrating to clouds. So to sum up this phase is very useful. And during that, we can use the tool called Cloud Journey Tracker. So it is a framework that helps manage and visualize the migration. It includes features that assess our cloud maturity, set goals for adoption, and track progress through the migration process. This is the tool, simply tool you can access through the web. You answer like 20 questions and you receive the full report about your readiness about the cloud and so on. So moving on to the migration triggers, because I mentioned about them before. Organizations don't just migrate to the cloud for no reason. There are usually specific triggers that push them to make the shift. These events can create a sense of urgency or present opportunities where cloud stability and flexibility offers an advantage. So I would like to take a look at some of them. Why businesses are moving to the cloud. So first one is quickly integrate acquisitions. So when companies acquire new businesses, they need to merge systems, applications, and data quickly. Cloud solutions make it much easier by offering a unified platform without headaches that comes with managing an on-prem system. Second one will be the software and hardware refresh. So as on-premise hardware and software get older, keeping them up to date becomes expensive and inefficient. So moving to the cloud, getting these things, we get rid of this costly upgrade cycles, and also give us possibility to access the latest infrastructures and applications. Third reason might be the urgent capacity needs. Sometimes business experience rapid growth or sudden spikes in the output pressure on the existing environment. The cloud allows us to scale up our resources on demand, so we don't need to worry about over provisioning or investing in more hardware if it's really not necessary. The fourth, compliance. As we have new regulations and it changes, very often a business is forced to improve data management and reporting, and cloud offers built-in compliance features and flexibility to quickly adapt to the new standards. Same is with security threats. With the rise of cybersecurity threats, many organizations turn to the cloud for better security. Cloud provides typically advanced security measures and monitoring tools in place that it will be tough to replicate in on-prem servers. Next one will be to data center contracts expire. When a data center contracts expire, companies are faced with a choice. They can renew the contract or continue managing their own on-premise infrastructure. Instead of that, many companies are making move to the cloud because of its flexibility, and it's also the good point to avoid long-term contracts because you can resign when you want. Next point will be to application innovation. So cloud platforms offer access to cutting the edge tools and technologies that that help business innovate faster. Whether it's improving customer experience or enhancing operations, the cloud gives organizations the tool to drive innovation. Pretty simple. And the last one, it might be the software end of support. So our key software reaches the end of its support. Keeping it running becomes risky, expensive. So migrating to the cloud allows organizations to switch to supported versions and cloud native options, reducing risk and ensure that it's still up to date. Yeah. So the second phase is plan phase. So the plan phase is absolutely crucial for setting the stage for a smooth cloud migration. This is where we lay out a detailed roadmap that guides how we will move to the cloud, including things like workloads we are migrating, when we are doing it, what resources we need, and preparation on all essential stuff. So first off, we need to assess our current environment. That means we go through existing applications, workloads, and data to figure it out what should to be migrated. During this part, we also need to understand all technical dependencies and assess the performance requirements that we want to have in cloud. The next step will be during this phase will be to define our migration approach. This means we need to select the right strategy for different workloads, which I will dive into a little bit more in a minute. Next part will be to create a migration roadmap. So this means developing a timeline that outlines phases of migrations, like key milestones, deadlines, and how we locate the resources. And we can't forget that this plan should include all trainings for and change management for teams that are involved, or even for whole organization when we are changing the systems. Important step is also to identify the resources and skills we need. This involves figuring who on our team or external team will be responsible what tools we would like to use during the migrations and what budget is required to achieve the cloud migrations. So if there are any skill gaps, we need to plan for training or even hiring someone to make sure the team is ready to manage our cloud environment. This is the correct moment during the phase plan. And at last, I will say that we can't forget about the risk assessment and how to mitigate them. We need to identify potential related risk of the migrations, whether it is security, compliance, performance, and it comes up with strategies to minimize those risks. And definitely the tool recommended in that part will be the Azure Migrate, which is a powerful service created by Microsoft. It offers a range of functionalities and features to facilitate assessment, planning, and executions. It's an easy use tool that we are installing on our hypervisor and simply create a connection between our local infrastructure and Azure. Then we have a possibility to access the data like information, how many cores, how many CPUs, and so on we have on Azure, on our local infrastructure, and what it will be ideal to migrate in Azure. So it suggests us which VM types we should use, which will be the best from our perspective. And I talked about migrations approaches. So we also need to take under consideration that how we want to migrate our resources to the cloud, and we have following possibilities like rehost. So this involves moving your existing systems to the cloud, making major changes. So it's like packing up our office and move it to the new building, but keeping everything in the same. So it's often fastest way to get started with migration. Second thing will be to refactor. So make sure that some modifications to our system to make it work better in the cloud, but you don't need completely to redesign it. So I will think about it like rearranging furniture after moving to the new place. So it's still the same place, but you're making it, but you make small changes to make it more efficient. Third strategy will be to rebuild something. This means that starting over and building your system from scratch might be the good choice. And you can use the cloud native technologies. It's like constructing a brand new office designed specifically to modern needs, allowing you to take full advantage of what cloud offers. And then replace. Instead of moving our resources or rebuilding it, we can switch to a new cloud-based service that does the same job. So it's like replacing our broken car with a new one instead of fixing one, because it's not a good option, let's say. So next one will be to retain that, retain our resources. That means that some systems don't need to move to the cloud right away or at all. In this case, you might choose to keep them as they are, either running them on your own servers or deciding to migrate them later. So it's like leaving some furniture behind in the old office because it doesn't fit to the new space. And the last thing is the last possibility is to retire some older system or applications may no longer be useful in our or useful or necessary. So in this case, you can simply decommission and stop using them. So it's pretty similar to clearing outdated equipment or old tools that are no longer needed for us. Moving on to the next stage, which is the ready. So we've set our strategy and laid out the plan. So right now it's the correct time to get our cloud environment ready for migration. In the ready phase, is all about preparing our infrastructure and establishing a solid foundation that will support our workloads in cloud. So first, we need to set up our cloud tenant, create accounts, think about naming conventions, and our landing zones. The principal purpose of landing zones is to ensure that when a workload lands on Azure, the required things are ready in place, providing greater agility and compliance with enterprise security and governance requirements. So to use the analogy, this is similar to how city utilities like water, gas, or electricity are accessible before new houses are constructed. In this context, a network, IAM, policies, management, and monitoring will be shared utility services that must be available before migration happen. And my suggestion will be to start with a small piece of your current infrastructure or your environment, and then expand it and continuously expand it. It makes also migration easier. In this phase, we also need to focus on the security and compliance. This means implementing all necessary policies and controls to protect data and meet regulatory requirements. It's crucial to consider how we will manage identity and access in the cloud, so we don't compromise our organization's security. In example, it will be to set multi-factor authentication or maybe conditional access to allow access only from your company devices for your coworkers. Additionally, we should establish governance frameworks during this phase that involves defining who will have access to what resources, how cost will be managed, and what processes will be in place to monitor usage. A strong governance will be the key to maintain the control over our cloud environment. And finally, it's a good time to start educating our own teams about new tools and processes they will be using. So training and change management initiatives can definitely help us to ease the transitions and ensure that everyone will be well prepared. At the end of the ready phase, we want to be sure that our cloud environment is fully configured and secure, that our governance policies are in place, and our teams are equipped with a knowledge that they need to move forward confidentially. Okay. Fourth phase will be to adapt. So um, we have everything in place. So it's time to start the actual migration process. And the migration is where all magic happens. So we are moving workloads, application, and data to the cloud. As we move things over, it's important to take our time and test along the way. Migrations isn't always a one-size-fits-all process. So some workloads can move quickly, while others might require more careful migrations. For example, non-critical workloads may go first, allowing us to troubleshoot and resolve any issues before we move businesses' critical system. As we begin migrating, this phase also provides an excellent opportunity to adjust and fine-tune the landing zones we prepared on the earlier stages. So we prepared this cloud environment with best practices in our mind, but real-world testing often reveals the areas for improvement. Whether it's tweaking security settings, modifying resource configurations, or optimizing networking, this is the moment to make sure everything is perfectly working when we are migrating. Communication will be also the key during this phase. So keeping stakeholders and users informed about what's happening will prevent surprises to ensure a smooth transitions. It's also important to have a rollback plan just in case something does not go as we expect. By the end of the adapt phase, we should have a key workloads running in the cloud. So fully tested and fully functioning as we expected. And with the flexibility to adjust landing zones along the way, we can ensure that our cloud environment is optimized and ready to scale. Next step will be to govern. Next phase will be the govern phase. So we successfully adopted the cloud and have our workloads running smoothly. So it's time to shift our focus to governance. In this stage, all is about establishing the necessary frameworks to manage the environment effectively and ensure that everything aligns with our organization policies and objectives. First, we need to implement strong governance practices. This means defining who has access, what resources, and establish clear policies around the cloud usage. Having a solid identity access management strategy will be crucial to ensure that only authorized users can access sensitive data and applications in our organizations. Cost management is another key aspect of the governance. So cloud environments can lead us to unexpected costs if not properly monitored. So we will need to establish budget, track spending, optimize resource usage to prevent waste. So implementing tools for cost management and reporting will help us to stay on the top of cloud expenses. And by focusing on governance, we are not on by let's say by focusing on governance, we not only protect our organization, but we also maximize the value we get from our cloud investment. So the govern phase make us sure that our cloud operations are secure, compliant, efficient, and setting the stage for ongoing success in our cloud journey. And the last one is and at last we arrive to the manage phase. So this stage is all about making sure that our operations continue to run efficiently and effectively over the time. So first and foremost, one more time, monitoring is the key. We need to keep a close eye on our performance of cloud resources. This means setting up the monitoring tools, provide real-time insights into how our applications and services are performing. Are they running as expected, or do we have any bottlenecks or performance issue? Regular reviewing of these metrics can help us to identify areas for improvement before we will go into the bigger problems. Next, we want to focus on optimizations. So the beauty of the cloud is flexibility. So we should regularly assess whether we are using our resources effectively or not. Are there any underutilized instances? Can we downsize it or not? Maybe we can take advantage of newer services that might deliver better performance for us with a lower cost. So continuous optimizations not only help us to save money, but also ensure that we are getting the best possible performance from our cloud environment. Another key aspect will be to monitor will be the incident management. So despite our best efforts, things can simply go wrong. So having a clear processes for responding to incidents can lead us to application outage or security breach which is essential. So this includes not just to fix the issue, but to let's say learn from it to prevent similar occurrence in the future. Finally, we want to ensure that our teams have the support they need to manage the cloud environment effectively. Regular training and resources will help them to stay informed about the best practices and the new tools. So encouraging a culture, our organization culture, to improvement and learning can empower our teams, from my perspective, to take full advantage of cloud capabilities. And by focusing on the effective management, we ensure that our cloud environment remains resilient, cost-effective, and able to adopt our evolving business needs. So the manage phase is where we turn our cloud adoption into sustainable practice, making sure our ongoing processes ongoing processes are success, and we are maximizing the value of our cloud investment. So during the whole presentation, I talked about some tools, and I would like to advise some of them at the end of the presentation to help you to migrate easier. So to assess workloads, we have many different tools like Azure Migrate, which I mentioned before. This is the tool which assess size, cost estimations, and give us a full view about what we have in our current on-premise infrastructure. But this is a strictly tool for the virtual machines. Another alternative, if we are talking about the database migrations, might be the Azure Database Migration Assistant, which take the whole assessment on our SQL servers. So it's checking the current version, the current settings on our instance, like max DOP, cost threshold of parallelism, and so on. And it allows us to easily migrate our databases to the cloud. Also, same tools will help us to deploy workloads into the cloud. As Azure Migrate also have a possibility to replicate our current infrastructure to the cloud. That means that we are able to connect the agent from our on-premise to cloud and continuously replicate the current server. If we want to migrate the servers, we can simply click the button in the Azure portal and migrate it to the cloud, and then disconnect or drop the connection between our local environment and simply use the server that we are using in the cloud. This is pretty simple and very good tool. Same for database migration assistant. But during the presentation, I also talked very much about the cost. So cost control is very important when we are migrating to the cloud, because when we are not aware about the costs, we can have unexpected costs, let's say. And to cost control, I can recommend the tools such like Azure Price Calculator to calculate individually each of resources in cloud if we are interested in developing that in our cloud. Also, we have the Azure Total Cost of Ownership calculator that helps us to calculate the cost based on what currently we have in on-premises. And we have Azure Cost Management. It is a native Azure tool that helps us to manage cost when we have our resources into already in the cloud, let's say. So to sum it up, let's have a moment to recap some key best practices and successfully navigating to the cloud adoption framework. So in points, it would be to align our cloud strategy with business goals. So to start ensuring that our cloud initiatives are closely tied to overall business objectives. It is also crucial to define our motivations, desired outcomes, and it will guide us through the entire adoption process. Second one, complete assessment and planning. So before diving into migration, conduct detailed assessment of current infrastructure. So identify which workloads are ready to move. Develop a clear migration roadmaps which outlines timelines, resources, and any potential risks. The next one is to establishing a strong foundation. So in ready phase, focus on setting up your cloud environment with the best practices. Pay attention to security and compliance to build this solid foundation. Uh, Iterative migration approach. So when it comes to adopt, consider an iterative approach. So start with less critical workloads to test your processes, make adjustments, and learn moving those mission critical applications. Yes. Um, so implement robust governance. So establish clear governance policies regarding access, security, and compliance. It's essential to regularly check, review, and update this policy. Depends on our business needs and when threats evolve. So next one will be to continuous monitoring and management. So once we are in the manage phase, set up monitoring tools to keep an eye on performance and cost. Uh, Regularly optimize our resources and have a clear incident management process in place to simply address issue when it's arise. Invest in training and support. So don't forget about your teams. So ensure that they have access to ongoing training and support to stay with the latest technologies and best practices. And measure success and iterate. So finally, define the key metrics to measure success of your cloud initiatives. Use these insights to drive continuous improvement and adjust strategy based on performance and feedback. And that from my side, it will be it. Thank you very much for today. If you have any questions, this is the time to ask.
There is already first question in the chat. Could you maybe take it?
Yes. Mm, Please tell me more about licenses migration, when possible, when not, different Microsoft offers. Can we make it question more detail, let's say, because when we are talking about licenses migration, it is possible to migrate them to the cloud. In Azure, we have the program called Azure Hybrid Benefit. It allows us to use our licenses for, in example, Microsoft SQL Server, and in example for Windows servers in each version. So if we have licenses in, let's say, when we have a license on on-premise infrastructure, we can use it also in our cloud environment. Okay, the second question, I hope that the answer is okay for the person. What is the best approach to write Azure governance document? Which technology to start or sources to use suggested? When we are documenting, what will be the best approach for documenting the governance? It's pretty tough questions, I must say, because every situation is different from my perspective, and we have some tools that helps us to write the document better, but I don't have a simple solutions. What would be the best and how to do this well? This is also the thing. I think we all also in my team are learning, because the governance documents are pretty tricky because of the regulations. Two questions. Understand each customer companies. During the presentation, I mentioned the cloud adoption framework. The whole presentation was based on that. So you can go to the Microsoft documentations and move to the govern phase, let's say, and Microsoft have a bunch of tools that might help you with the governance documentations. I don't remember the name right now. Thank you. Okay, so I see that there is no more question in the chat, so thank you very much for today. Thank you for being here. And I hope that you learned something from my presentation. And have a nice day, I guess.